Good morning. Let's get some charts up here. So the dip did get bought yesterday to an extent. Things are getting a little extended in a short amount of time from a high up here on the 29th. And I think the cues have to touch this area maybe today. I just wanted to show this sell setup that across the board on the 60-minute chart. And so after yesterday's rally off of the low, some things reached some support. And so there was a nice intraday move after some wiggles, and they come up to an area where sellers should be, right? Minor resistance. As you can see, they're down a lot. This is not the 24-hour chart. And we got that sell set up, which suggests it's going to go lower. And things are, well, kind of mixed here this morning, not really moving to the downside. Everybody's waiting for the NVIDIA earnings and what that means going forward. And so there's that big concern out there about AI and all these companies spending all of this money, and where's the benefits in the short term? Markets are always looking, for the most part, in the short term, and you know what's happening with the cut, which doesn't seem to be coming, and the president's comments yesterday about Mr. Powell. It's like, wow, you know. I think the guy did such a bad job, but that comment about transitory, I think, is going to take him to the end of his grave. But anyway, it was kind of over the top, some of the comments there about firing him and so on, and being stupid, so to speak. But so this low here from October 10th is a critical level um, in most markets. It's where that last advance started. So it's 100% retracement, which has set up this pullback on the weekly time frame. And so 3 weeks back, I think just after 3 weeks of correction coming into an area of support, maybe it dips underneath it. That wouldn't be unusual before you get some stabilization. And well, yesterday, I would say it's a weak representation of stabilization. There's a minor bottoming tail bar there. And if we look at the 15-minute charts, there was this long consolidation after, this was the up move there in the afternoon. The initial move after it broke the low, came back up, down, pulled back. And then as it was going sideways, like, all right, you can move further up and get a full bottoming tail bar. Well, that didn't happen. And prices then, you know, essentially buyers threw in the towel, and down it came. And so now we need to see where is it at here today. And it's just kind of in the middle of no man's land, in the middle of that bar, off of the low a little bit. Essentially, we've got pretty messy type of a pattern here. Starting to roll over, you know, pretty strong move overnight. And now it's like it's heading back down again. Maybe test those lows. Let's take a look at the spiders. Same story. Came down close to support, and you can see the rejection up there a couple hours ago or so ago. And now it's rolling back over. Maybe test yesterday's lows, way down there. The overnight low is there. It comes into play, but it's really not all that meaningful because of the low volume. So coming down there, I think would be ideal for potentially setting up some kind of a turn or stabilization. And so yet to be seen. We just don't have that yet on the daily chart, but we've got some stocks that have led the way down. So we were discussing the mineral stocks yesterday in the green room, and a lot of them that led the way down are beginning to stabilize. Some of the what you call it, the stocks, the computer stocks, they're starting to stabilize. The quantum stocks. So there's a lot of things that have led the way down that are beginning to take hold. And of course, the value, uh, they're not going into those all that aggressively. Was that XLP? The staples, they're stabilizing down here, right? They came down to major support. You can look at the weekly time frame. You see they're on major support and popped up here. So if we get more of a sell-off, probably more money comes into them. And we don't look at the VIX that often because there's really not much to look at. But there was that spike up. There's, the move up in October. And so now it's moving back up. So you want to set an alert up near that high if we get additional sell-off to be aware that it's up there, at least on a short-term basis. That it gives us a reference point. Even if the markets are making some new lows in the short term, this could be helpful as to where an intraday turn could be. And you see the AI stocks are down here on major support. There's a lot of room down below for them to go down if that's in the cards. But, yesterday we spoke about this 180 reversal, this continuation pattern. There's a lot of these green bars followed by red and then down again. So while it's stabilized on that major support level, stabilization isn't a turn. We're waiting to see if that's going to happen. Go back to the spiders. And you see they're starting to dip down here. So the numbers will start to jiggle around a little bit. I'm just looking to see where that is at. The top of the red there. And okay. So yesterday's numbers are down here, the green line and the red line. Didn't get anywhere near close to it. And the downside was pretty much, I don't know, nothing's ever 100% given, but a high probability that it would never get there. And so today's number, I got to move this out of the way, 65, because this is right on 6,500. So plenty of bearish sentiment to thinking more downside. 67.10. Tightening up a little bit. All right. Let's pull this out of the way for shoot. Hold on. That up there. So you can see the numbers since things are so close together. So always want to know where the whole numbers are in SPX. And so prices are here. I mean, NVIDIA's earnings aren't coming out till after the close, so I don't know what would move things to get down there, but I think it's highly unlikely. You've got that bar's low down there. You got the half number as protection, so I would say it's not going down there today. And again, NVIDIA's earnings aren't out, so why should it go up there today? Those are the extremes for today. Unlikely to be seen, as they typically are not. And we'll see if it stays, around that 6,600. And this is above 6,700. Again, I mentioned this earlier. 6,700 is a very large open interest expiring in 30 days. So sometimes it goes that acts like, I guess, a center point. Say things do get dropped down here, there'll be a tendency, even I know there's support there, but there'll be a tendency to kind of drag it back toward that level. But we'll see how it plays out. All right, crude oil is back down again. Yeah, and just within this really sloppy trading range, but there's a lot of uncertainty everywhere. But not so much in Bitcoin. It's stabilized. It's at a whole number. The major support you can see on the weekly chart is down below. So it's short-term extended, a bunch of days down. It would make sense for it to stabilize. ETHE, that's on the 200 MA and close to an area of what we call minor support. So it's holding there for the moment. It's gapping down a little bit. Really not a big deal yet. And let's look at IWM. Let me go there, which is also rolling over. That's already down on that major support. Things are just down, quite a few days. So ahead of those earnings reports, unless somebody knows something, and sometimes they do, I think any continued move to the downside is less likely. There's that continuation pattern again. So unless we get a close in any of these markets deep into that red bar, the assumption is it keeps going down because, the prior day's high is our first reference point of resistance. And unless they can get back above that, as I said, stabilization isn't a meaningful turn. Gold, not bad. Right, buyers still stepping up. There was that little setup from yesterday. The weekly chart, everything, that is extended, but look, can become more extended. Well, there's a clear buy setup there. We'll take a look at some of the miners and GDX and GDXG. See GDX. Yeah, GDXD is the leverage. You can see it's gapping up. We'll take a look at that, and you can see the 65-minute looks pretty good. All right. And I didn't look at the diamonds. So again, down a whole lot of days in a row. I perceive this is the destination. It doesn't always get there. So you got to be looking for turns intraday, either in that area or slightly above. Going from this high down to here, should it get down there, it's a lot in the short term, and it's likely to stabilize and bounce at that point. But damage being done, recognize damage has been done. So at that point, we could assume maybe a wide trading range for a while until we get something else to suggest otherwise. Okay. And silver moving up also. So the miners, and you can take a look at the CTF XME. That's on some major support. It's gapping up a little bit. This could be considered. Why not? Give it some room under the lows. Coming down into an area of support, retest of a pivot, 3 days, pushing above that high. Being in a major uptrend like that, an assumption is made that it could take out that high. So that's something for consideration. And, there's plenty of damage being done. The regional banks, just a big mess. Financials, that's just not a good sign for the broader markets. This big rounding top and that advance that occurred, and then the collapse. It's on, call it a neckline or whatever, in the 200 MA. It's at a critical point, but that is not a pretty chart. And so you see the financials acting that way. It's not good. Got internet breaking down. And this is all, we covered this in the weekend letter. As the markets, everybody looking for the markets to go up, but there's just so much damage being done out there that, okay, so what if you can get the S&P and the Qs to go up a bit? There's a lot of things that just look so terrible. Financials, internet, regional banks. Here's software broken down. It's down a lot. So I would assume a bounce is in the cards. Maybe if NVIDIA, whatever it's going to do, it's going to do. And there's the chart. And it's on this major support. So there's of course, everybody's going to be interested in whether it holds this area or breaks down below or starts the next advance. So we'll all learn that this evening after the close. All yours, Dan.
Well, yeah, it seems everyone's in a holding pattern for that. But it is a significant event because we're concerned about this AI bubble, CapEx, everyone going nuts on data center AI build out, and it started a couple weeks ago when the market started acting squirrely. And then you had two hedge funds selling all their stake in NVIDIA. And then you have everything Greg just said about all these sectors breaking down. And we even talked in the green room this day right here, 11/13, of whether that was the high for the year. And nobody knows, but my reaction was it's very possible. As a contrarian, we rallied in September and October. Mhm. Let's see, Thomas NG. Nice little gap. Yeah, my alarm didn't go off. Oh, it did go off earlier. Okay, yeah, my alarm did go off. That looks great. We're already in it. We've been talking about what's today, Wednesday? On Monday, I know some of you talked about adding, and I said I want to see it close strong and then buy with a high. So now it's gapping up. Yeah, yeah, as a new trade even. Looks fantastic. It's right there at the even $9 level. So that would be a great entry if it just goes sideways here. And then, I always wait for it to get over the even 9 number. So after 5 minutes, buy over $9. There you go. There's a trade. Looks great. Oil, it's a sloppy buy setup. This is UNG leveraged. Wow, usually leveraged ones are cheaper. Still going to move more, but that's rare to have the underlying one be a cheaper price. But I'll put it on the list. I think we were talking about it the other day on this bull rectangle breakout. So yeah, now it's a buy setup from that bull rectangle breakout. So I like it. Yeah, it's a beautiful retest of the breakout area. So good, Thomas. Starting off the day with 2 ideas. Alarms, PSEC. I had an up alarm go off. Let me reset it higher at 280. It's a buy setup. Oh, and we had options coaching last night, and it was a great exercise because we scanned, went through open trades, and I made them go through the checklist. And it's not just, oh, okay, that's a pattern for put spread or debit call, debit spread, whatever. I'm like, no, you go through the checklist, pull up the chart, pull up the option table, and tell me exactly what you're recommending. MP, we did a half lot yesterday. I said you can add over yesterday's high, but it's gapping over it. So let me tell them to wait for a pullback. Now, PBA, we talked about in detail in coaching, directional put spreads. Talked about days to expiration. We talked about quote spreads. And the verdict was we're going to buy the stock because there's various reasons, but that's a fantastic bottoming pattern with a void. That was last Wednesday's MT Live, the void. Today we're going to be talking about igniting bars and MT Live. But that's a beautiful setup there. Let's see, Sick Tree, I had an alarm go off. I don't know why. We're in trail mode. We're already long. Let me reset the alarm. GSL alarm, had an up alarm go off. That's a bull rectangle that we bought. Set higher alarms, 35.50. TMC, little bottom fisher. Right here on this breakout, I think Alex bought it. I sold the $5 puts. Gapping up here, so I'm bidding 2 pennies to get out of mine at the open. Reaching, we're in trail mode. My up alarm went off again. This has been such an amazing trade and easy to manage. Easy to manage trades are nice. They don't give you heartbreak. They're just easy to, yeah, they just so that energy alarm. Mr. Curve is a climb on. I like, we'll start with a put spread over Monday's high, and then possible directional, but it's not a potent turn. So on this one, directional, I think I'd like it to get over Monday's high, just to give me a 4-bar turn. Those are all the alarms. Greg mentioned GDX, but I'm also watching this Palladium. Palladium and platinum. Where are you? Paul P. Oh, right here. Pellet. No, that's Pelletier stock. P. What's this one? Well, also, all right, let's go up to earnings now. $13.85 gap, and it's a bullish gap, but no pattern. See, no void. So that's a great example of 2 things. A bullish gap doesn't mean buy it. Look, it's gapping to in a trading range of overlapping bars. There's no void. There's no pattern. I'm gonna delete it. SQM 62. If I wish it were gapping up $10. Then it could be a gap and crap. That's still strong. Cooler 250. It's on a power downtrend. QFN 1950. Bearish gap. I wish it were gapping just like here. Then I'd say short 5-minute low. But it's gapping down a big percent, so you gotta. It's gonna be a while to get your entry. Wow, Sam was on the board of Lazy Boy, and wow, big old gap. Let's say that's a pro gap, but pro gaps don't mean buy it. Gap's too big, and there's no pattern, no void. ELB 62. There you go. There's a short idea. 10-minute low. Gapping under this rectangle consolidation. So we just gotta see what it's gonna do with the open. Oh, that November golf. Look how it came back down. So I'll set an alarm 895. And actually I'll put DLB here now. How? It's actually a buy setup. Trying to make the turn. I have an alarm at 3:30, I think. Set it on my other computer, 329. TJX. This we were saying in the green room is a bullish pattern. It's a buy setup, kind of a bull flag. It's a bullish weekly, bullish monthly. We were contemplating buying calls, and I just didn't want to pay up, but it would have worked. So that's bullish on a pullback. LOW 230, big gap. This was selling off along with his cousin Home Depot, who reported yesterday. And I'm actually surprised Home Depot's not gapping up more. Well, it's gapping up 350 now. Before it was only up $1, but it's no pattern. So that's, you're swimming upstream. EUP, yeah, looks higher. Spotting. Target, we did a condor on this yesterday. An earnings condor, which we sold a $2 wide 85, $2 wide hundreds. We had $8.50 cushion both ways, so now it's gapping. We knew we'd get down one way or another, but we took in, I don't know, whatever it was, 77 cents. So look, our short put is still over $5 lower, 5.50. So you got to wait 5 minutes for the spreads to tighten, but there should be a 99% chance that we have a nice open profit. So I'm actually bidding a nickel just to kill it at the open. Powell alarm just went off. So that's making the turn we just talked about. VIX, it's a trading range. Put spread if there's any juice. This is Viking. This is a river cruise company. That trades very differently. I have the 3 big cruisers. WSM. Wow, it's whipping around pre-market here. Wow, look at that, $19 range. I'm pretty sure Sam did something on this. So even $5 gap down, you should be totally fine. In terms of a new trade, I don't have an opinion yet. I remember I was contemplating selling the 250s. Actually, I did put out 2 orders. I remember them, but they were so spready, I didn't get filled on either one. But yeah, there was juice at 250 way the heck down here. So that's an igniting gap breakout. Starting more. Yeah, I love cruising, but I've never been on a river cruise. All right, this is nasty. Up and down $20. I don't have a bias, but I'll tentatively put that in my mental category of excessive gap. Let's see where buyers step up. I got target in the other window. Let's put Rick's there. And I like when I fade excessive gaps, I like when they tank in that direction pre-market. So that's what that's doing. Yeah, GDX, yeah, it's time to scan the sector. So let's do that sometime, maybe in the first hour. Globe. I actually shorted the 30s on this. So I'm bidding 2 cents to cover that also. But there are so many like Climos that but they're not turning yet. We got them in Bitcoin stocks, we got them in the miners, we got them in the quantum computing, we got them in the minerals. There's Climos everywhere. So that one's a bullish gap with no pattern. It could be a put spread down here if there's any juice. I'm not going to even look because I know the spreads will be asinine. A DLB alarm. This one I was saying 10-minute low, but look. So this gap down is negated now. So now this could be turning into a double bottom put spread. But I'm not going to mess with it. At least not right now. General rule, I don't trade in the first 5 minutes, particularly on earnings stocks. All right, Mike Papa's actually coming in. So it's coming in hard. So I'm gonna say hold off. Hold off and will advise. Just because I don't like the way it's coming in. I think I gave a put spread also. Alright, region, I already tightened the stop to right here. So just let it play out, and then if it survives, I'll move it to 30-minute low. November Golf we talked about. That's a pretty big range though. In a minute and a half. And ideally, it'll simmer down here a little bit. This PSEC, 30-minute high maybe. Boeing alarm, nice Boeing alarm. We can tighten the stop now. 190, 151. Target, I'm not filled on my put spread. Wow, they're more than I thought. 17 cents for the 80s. But they should slowly go down here. Particularly if the stock keeps moving up. The bond, we're at the 197. We should be in our first target. 13 cents. Yep. Well, we should get more than that. Rocket Lab up alarm. I forget what that looks like. I think it's just another one of these bouncers. Rocket Lab. Yeah, it's junk. This Wix I mentioned. And next possible excessive gap. Target. Nice. Let's see what the midpoint is. All right, midpoint for the entire condor is 7 cents. Let me try 6 just because of the spreads. Oh, and geez, going now. Shoot. I was hoping it would tighten up. Darn it. But PSEC still looks okay. What's the other one I was watching? PCT alarm. PCT. Ah, one of y'all mentioned this yesterday. Nice 15 minute. That's not bad. I mean, it's not a clean one because the way it came down with some overlapping bars, but not bad. And she looks great, man. Shoot. Kept moving without me. Our region's finally stopping out. Just take it. In the movie channel, TMC. Yeah, this is one of these stocks where they don't show they don't show the penny increments. So my 2 cent bid is not being shown. So I'll bid a nickel. I sold them at 15. And then Globe. Globe I am in. You know, I still got a nice profit because I did the 30s. I'll kill it at a nickel. Getting filming. Is your restream uh, um, oh, this ribbon. Shoot, I was watching this yesterday. They have a covered call. Oh, I don't like the way that's acting. Not at all. I'm gonna bail on that on a bounce. PSEC is holding fine. Our XPEV. So yeah, that's a nasty retracement. A10. Yeah, yeah. Day trade for sure. Breaking that 15-minute base. Come out of the globe. He's falling hard, so I go down. Hey, this mic popping now, and all right, we can add now over this bar, which is the day's high. So that's okay. MP 62. Oh, I did give MP put spread. Okay, so that's a go. 54.50 for 16. Going out to the next week. Gets spreading. Oh, you're not gonna get filled. All right, shoot, we're gonna cancel that. All right, so can't cancel MP. I was giving it to you before I looked. But we're in a directional half lot. Riot is posted. Directional and foot spread, but different levels. Net curve is another. Climo has it triggered. Dell, we did a foot spread yesterday.